That's a gay-ass podcast.
What? That's a gay-ass podcast. What? A really, really, really gay podcast that we call That's a Gay-Ass Podcast.
That's a gay-ass name for a gay-ass podcast.
Welcome back to That's a Gay-Ass Podcast, the podcast that asks, whose fault is it that you're gay? It is me, Eric Williams, and this week is a treat because the podcast welcomes Ira Madison, the co-host of the legendary Keep It podcast on Crooked Media, and he is also the author of an upcoming book of delicious essays called Pure Innocent Fun, coming out February 4th. Now, before we get into this episode, I'm so grateful to all of the horny girlies who are joining the Gay-Ass Patreon because y'all are slurping it up. And the next guest is one of my favorite Twitter follows, and I cannot wait to post his episode. Go to the Patreon at patreon.com/gayasspodcast, and all of those gay ass sex episodes are there for $5 a month. Literally $5 a month, and you will not regret it. So let's get into this episode with the one and only Ira Madison, where we discuss pop girlies and my love of sad lesbian music, Housewives and the golden age of Salt Lake City. We talk about reality TV competition shows, and we have an important discussion about gay holiday parties, which you can feel free to chime in the comments or maybe even in a 5-star review if you're nasty. Enjoy this episode with Ira Madison. Category is gay podcast royalty. Ira Madison, thank you so fucking much for coming on That's a Gay Ass Podcast. How are you doing on this gay day?
I'm good. You know, it's Sunday. Seeing a show later.
Girl, can I address the elephant in the room? Which is that we're recording on a Sunday and I'm rocking post-gay holiday party horse girl voice. I sound like I'm a sophomore at SMU. I feel
I'm sure mine's giving the same. I was at holiday parties last night too.
So what is your relationship to holiday parties? I feel like I usually like to feel like I'm all vocally warm. I feel like I'm emotionally warm and so like gaping wide open for you to be on this podcast. But I feel like maybe my voice is not sounding. How do you feel about gay holiday parties? Holiday parties, do you love the chaos? Do you look forward to January 1? What's your relation?
I mean, I do, but here's the thing about like the holiday party circuit, right? First of all, we are recording this after like the second Saturday of December, which is always the day, right? Yes. Everybody picks that day.
Which is why we did not host a party this year, by the way. Okay. And it was like the biggest power move. I feel so self-carry.
And putting out that many particles, like once you open it and you look at December, it's distressing. And then they send you that 2-hour like notice, like they keep coming through. It's like, this party's happening. This party's in 2 hours. I'm like, which one am I gonna go to? Probably none of them. The one closest to my house is what I did.
Oh, and that's smart. I also think like, sure, we're coming from a privileged place by saying we have one or more party invites, which is very much a grateful place to be in. But I found myself not going to a
party privilege.
Well, I found myself.
I'm not doing. If you're not invited to multiple parties, I don't feel bad for you.
Well, then how do you feel towards them, Ira?
Make some friends. I don't know.
She's always been real first and foremost. But secondly, then give me this. Then that's the sort of attitude I need to adopt because I RSVP'd yes to a party and then found it was like a 48-minute drive from where I was from the party I was at, and I did not go. What do I do to rectify?
Yeah. So I love this question actually because I feel like the same thing as sort of birthdays and holiday parties, not the same level, but they're close. And was this hosted by like 2 people, 1 person?
Hosted by 2 people.
Okay, see, 2 people. Are they together?
They are together, and context is that I do love them, but the party I was at was with very, very close friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I think what you do, if you really care,
I do.
I don't know, like send them something. Like a gift. Or I always do so for birthdays, when I miss a birthday, I'm always like, I will take someone out to dinner. And maybe I'm not paying, but we're going to go to dinner. We're going to have a one-on-one, like I'm acknowledging that I missed time with you. And so I want to, make it up. I don't know how you make up time for the holidays, like still getting festive. I don't know. I feel like unless your friends are very serious about it, then it's hard.
No, I think these are just I think there might be a grudge, and I want to get ahead of the grudge and the grudge too. The squeakquel. But I think that the gift of time is huge. I think and it's the acknowledgement of like I would love to spend time with you. I think that's what that's the right move. See,
because you think about how much time you're going to be at the party.
Yeah,
and then you have to add the 45 minutes to get there,
and
then the 45 minutes to leave if you're trying to make anything else. Right?
100%. It's that's why
we're not on Miranda Priestley, okay? Like I don't have an Emily Blunt to like pull the car around in 5 minutes.
If only. Can you imagine how powerful we would be if we had an Emily Blunt being a British Cuntosaurus Rex behind the scenes pulling the strings? Baby. One day I'm gonna manifest hiring, and I want actually Emily Blunt herself, not I want her post.
Now what are you saying about her career prospects here? It's over for Emily Blunt. It's over for Emily Blunt.
No, I just want her.
She's working for me now.
I just want to hang out with Emily Blunt, and it did come off as I was putting her into the working class. And you know what? I hope both her acting dreams come true, and she gets to be on my payroll for at least a calendar week. Is that so much to ask? Emily, hashtag Emily be my assistant. Now I do have to say, Ira, that you are gay podcast royalty because of course of Keep It. You and Louis Virtel are truly the blueprint of an amazing interview show. But I do want to also give a shout out to your Substack, Frank. Can we talk about how it's so good? And I have a few questions that are going to be pulled from the amazing content you're writing on Frank about pop culture moments. But before we get into that, I just feel like we need to ask the gay ass podcast question, Ira Madison, which is, whose fault is it that you're gay? Who do we blame, babe?
You know what? I think the fault goes to Graydon Carter.
Tell me everything.
So it's Vanity Fair that did it. And I write about this in my book. Actually, there is the cover 2003 Tom Cruise post Nicole. It's like shirtless cover, red background.
You know we're pulling this photo up right as
Please pull
we
it up
speak.
and you will see how good Tom Cruise looked on that cover.
So it's 2003 Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise and honey. Oh my God, Ira. What is it giving?
Right?
What is it giving that is so like visceral? I think it's giving things we talk about often on this podcast, which is the era of
2002 for everyone.
2002.
He is shirtless on the cover.
Tight body, tight hairless body.
Yeah. The hair is tussled.
It's giving heartthrob. There's nipple. It's giving cut jawline. It's giving a tiny peak of armpit hair. It's giving. I talk about the Abercrombie bags and what they did to me. So this would have given me a perfect combination of self-loathing and masturbatory material. That's what this Vanity Fair article cover has done.
Also, I love looking at old covers and laughing at what the stories were. It's 2002.
Secret so Bin Laden files.
Yes, and dead tycoons and missing interns could be from this week.
Is this about my intern Emily Blunt? And it's also, yeah, you're right. These headlines, there's also been a crisis in the CIA in the year of our Lord 2002. There's something going on. Oh, a murder in the Hamptons. Now, are you saying that this cover has made you gay because of the combination of pop culture Tom Cruise plus thirst? What is it about this cover that really pulled you into the homosexual? Okay, yeah.
It's both. I started reading Vanity Fair after this. I wasn't a Vanity Fair reader.
And so 2002, you are starting to read. Okay, thank you. You clearly saw where I was going.
You were fishing, and I answered.
And I went, yeah. So you were in high school, and I just love the image of an Ira Madison in high school picking up Vanity Fair, and then sort of leaning into the media of it all, being like, okay, from Vanity Fair, where do we go next? If you were to say was there like a trifecta of publications that you got into from this Vanity Fair entree? Were you then going into a Vogue? Were you going into
yeah, because I feel like Vanity Fair was very adult, you know?
Yes.
It had a lot of words in it. So I wasn't immediately snatching it up on the newsstands. But before that, like my trifecta was Entertainment Weekly, obviously.
I was going to say.
I had a subscription.
Oh.
TV Guide. I used to like collect the Entertainment Weeklies and TV Guides. And Teen People.
Shout out to Teen People. I feel like
love
if
my
you wanted
WB girls.
Yes. And if you wanted to know if a guy was gay at 17, if there was an Entertainment Weekly in his bedroom, sweetie pie, you could say you're just reading about the Avengers on the cover, but we know it's because you're a pop culture faggot Trini. I also think there's something about that era of just the magazine lore. I was like a cosmopolitan freak when my dad owns a pharmacy, and of course they have all the magazines at the pharmacy, and I would like put the Cosmo in the Forbes or whatever the fuck I would pretend I was reading, and then just read about the things that they were doing to boys' balls with ice cubes or whatever the fuck. Like,
and you were taking the sex quizzes.
Of 100% taking sex quizzes and then looking at like the hunk of the month. And again, they were all just like, I don't know. The idea of like a muscled man brings up something in me because I myself don't have like muscly tits, or like obviously the abs train. I have fully disengaged from like abs equal beauty. But I feel like at this time, especially in the early aughts, it was abs equals beauty, and the rest is mess. I don't know. The rest, that's what was projected to me. And now I can now enjoy the pop culture combo of the magazines, thirsting over Vanity Fair, Tom Cruise, but knowing that.
At the time, Tom Cruise was taunting you from the cover of Vanity Fair.
Oh my God. I'm staring at his eyes right now, and I'm like telling the younger version of myself, it's okay. But it's so then you going from Vanity Fair, you were also an Entertainment Weekly girl. Were you ever a New York Magazine Sex Diaries person?
No, I was not.
I highly recommend you go into the archives because it was one of the things that like kind of started my journey of sex positivity, because these people are writing some crazy shit. There's like a straight woman who's married to her husband and she has 3 kids, but she's fucking her hot trainer and she feels kind of bad about it. And then there's the gay guy who is going to warehouse parties in Bushwick. It was the first time I was like reading about these things, and that's what inspired our Patreon series. It's called Gay Ass Sex because it's like an audio version of those sex diary things. And I'm all about acknowledging our Tom Cruises of the past and healing ourselves into our horniness of the future. What is something that you do as a gay ass adult now that heals your inner child? Is there anything that you feel like you're living more loudly, openly, shamelessly now?
You know, I still eat Gushers. Is that a thing?
It is a thing.
I sometimes will buy them at my bodega because when they started selling them, and I keep them stocked in my kitchen.
Gushers is healing.
I love
your
a
inner
Gusher
child
moment.
for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it because you like something juicy spraying in your mouth?
All right. A little bit. No, I honestly have been like that was one of my favorite things, that and Butterfingers. And I think that one day, like I saw them in there, and then I just bought some, and I haven't been able to stop.
Listen, that's all we need to. You can once you stop gushering, you can't stop. I think it's also so exciting to see that you touch into the lore of our herstory, especially with this book. Can I tell you a huge mazel tov about Pure Innocent Fun is coming out February 4th. To write a book is one thing. To publish a book is another thing, and to actually have it coming out in like a month and a half. The thing that you write about this book is you can expect, this is from your Substack, I believe. You can expect essays on my coming of age, through my coming out, spliced with reflections on Buffy, Lil' Kim, Passions, Scream, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, AOL Messenger, and more. And then past Gay Ass Podcast guest Cody Rigsby, who we love, says, If you're old enough to have typed ASL in AOL chat rooms, this will unlock so many core millennial memories. If you don't know what that means, this book will help you talk to your boss at work. I'm just so excited to dip into our herstory. And is there something that you're most excited about with this book coming out? Has it been a long time in the making?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird that it's coming out in a month and a half now, right? Because I remember when it was just sold it. And then I remember, you had the time to write it. And then the year to write it took 2 years to write it.
Sure.
And then it was, okay, this is coming out this date. And that was, God, that was like 2023, when I turned in like the draft. And so I've been editing it since then, but it was knowing it was coming out in like a year and like 4 months was a year and September. Look at me trying to count. A year and like 4 months or so, so it felt very far, and now it is very close. And so,
do you consider yourself to be like an anxious girly that it's hard?
Oh, I'm an anxious person. Always. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
My thing that I do is, reading new books now, or even worse, because my book comes out at the beginning of the year. So there's, like the end of year best books, those lists. And you're reading those and you're seeing what people are saying about those. And then you're like, well, my book ain't that. So that's where the anxiety comes in. Yes, of course. But
I would feel
you're not a writer unless you hate your writing.
Okay.
At some point.
And that's, well, I myself, like when you have anything that's like even 3 months into the future, a month in the future, and there's anticipation, I'm not like, oh, I'm excited. I'm like, no, this is hell, because every day I'm thinking, is it not going to be good enough, or should I be doing? So like the year it took you to write to 2 years, was there any sort of, was it a busy situation, or I myself have a lot of, when it comes to me writing and creating, sometimes I'll have like imposter syndrome, mental blocks. Does that ever come up for you? Okay.
Yeah, no, that happens. Especially with writing the book, which is an essay collection.
Yeah.
But it is not the same essays that I used to write for publications, So you're sitting down to write one and you're like, well, this has got to be a little bit longer than one that's just going on a website. And so it was, I don't know, it was getting to writing that first one was such a hurdle. And then I feel like once I passed it, then it came out a lot easier.
Did you have any tricks to get yourself to write that first one for girlies who are having a tough time sitting down to do it? Did you have to trick yourself into writing?
I had deadlines to my editor,
Sure.
Deadlines will always help a procrastinator.
That's real. I mean, I'm an anxious procrastinator like us. I think even if it's an arbitrary deadline, like that or as long as I can disappoint someone, then my people pleasing will transcend my anxiety. And so I will have to get that deadline in. But I also love the origin of the title. It's a Nene Leaks quote it's pulled from.
It sure is.
So the book is called Pure Innocent Fun. And here's the Nene Leaks full quote. She goes, and it's unfortunate that people can change something that was just pure innocent fun into drama. Nene Leaks are.
Now, do you
remember
the impetus of this quote?
I don't, and I need you to tell me. I need you to remind me the lore.
Okay, it's season 1. They're in a limo.
Okay.
And she's mocking Kim Zolciak singing.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's mocking, tardy for the party at this point.
Yes.
And so then Kim is like, you're making fun of my singing, like you're mocking me, etc. And that's where Nene, indignant as always, especially in her first season. It's unfortunate people can change something. It's just pure innocent fun into drama.
I'm going to say that next time I hurt someone's feelings, it's really unfortunate that someone can take me dragging them through the mud as anything other than just pure innocent fun. I think,
but I will say that though, so obviously you're caught up with the ladies, like the Salt Lake Cities. I find this show so fascinating because it feels like old New York when they could just sort of, roast each other and then move on. Sometimes there'd be deeper, wounds, but for the most part, you've got Bethany calling Luann like a whore, you fuck everybody. And then they move on,
Yes.
And Salt Lake is giving me that because they're going back and forth and
high body count hair.
Yes. that episode in particular, because Angie, you could tell when Meredith kicked her out and when Brittany is crying. You could tell that she sort of was confused in that moment, right? Because Angie seemed like she was like, I thought we were just having a key. Like I thought we were like doing the back and forth. Like I'm saying high body count hair, like it's jokey.
And they
it's
go,
stupid.
They say Brittany's crying, and she goes, "Is she really?" When I clock her saying, "Oh, is she really?" That's when the facade came down of like, I thought I was just being a reality star.
Right. I thought we were just like having a back and forth.
Yeah. Is this not an A to B to C? Oh.
I think I've written this somewhere, but it reminds me of Tiffany New York Pollard, who. So she's on this current season of House of Villains.
Yes.
With a low budget TV show, but it's been actually very fun this season. She's been on it with Teresa Giudice from Jersey. And they have like a beef with each other at one point, and Teresa receives this big bouquet of roses from Louis. And
naturally, fucking Louis.
New York
Jesus
is
Christ.
going in on her, saying each rose is for a different woman he fucked while you were in here.
No.
He's cheating on you, etc. Later, when they're talking about it, she was like, you know, like, and you accuse Louis of cheating on me, and New York actually says to her, I don't think he's cheating on you, baby. I thought we were just having a key.
Sweetie, I saw the red light
Like,
on
I
the
thought
camera.
we were just doing a reality show. Like, I thought we're turning it up. We're having a fight.
We're in the sandbox. I just threw a little shovel and a paddle. I love. That's why Tiffany New York Pollard is the blueprint of reality television. Is because she can immediately see a bouquet of roses and turn it into how your husband is cheating on you with a different woman for every rose. That's a beautiful read. That is a visceral, devastating, and especially for Teresa, who's like, you know, I love my 4 daughters, and Louis is like, and all she tries to project is how perfect her life is. And Tiffany knew that, and then said, and by the way, Louis is a piece of shit, so he probably is doing those things that Tiffany is saying, just for the absolute record. But
Not for the record, she's gonna come after you.
The second I said it, I kind of felt a fear kind of rumble in my tummy. So I'm going to say also on the record, Teresa's great TV, and I hope she and Louis are so happy. Now, something else that you have put in your Substack, which is called Frank, and you do really great writing about the Housewives. You mentioned that Ryan Peterson said in paper about the RHONY reboot, which is really struggling. He said, these chic ladies lack any real bite, and the cast's cooler than thou attitudes feel put on. Ironically, the scene chewery of Salt Lake City feels far more authentic, which I think is what you're saying, is like, even though they know they are doing reality TV, it's very real beef.
They're performing.
Yeah.
It's real beef, but they're also performing. I mean, it's
you will
like
see
wrestling,
Brittany,
you know?
Exactly. It's WWE. It's so there's a clip. I've talked about this at a few parties because I can't get over Brittany on Salt Lake City is so in love with the camera, and you can tell that anytime she gets a chance to chime
Guys,
in.
what about me? Look at the camera.
There's a moment at Meredith's bat mitzvah where, for whatever reason, the editors kept this in, where Brittany walks into the room. You can see her twirling, make eyes with the camera, and then start to go, starting to vocalize. And you can tell she's loving seeing the camera on her.
She's loving it.
And it's kind of like, you know, it starts to take me out, but then I'm like, she's actually crying about being told she has slutty hair, and that brings me back in because you can tell she's actually upset, and that's scene chewery. That is. But let me ask a question. Do you think Meredith is going to come back next season? I'm finding that she is having a little bit of a tough go.
I don't know. I feel like earlier this season, I felt that she was very checked out. She was barely in it, but now with everything that's happening mid-season and towards the end now, she's been fully active within it. So maybe it was really just scheduling issues where she wasn't there. But I don't know. She doesn't seem to be giving it her all anymore.
And I don't know if she wants, I think it's probably an issue of her wanting to give it all. I think that she thinks that she can. I mean, look at Mary Cosby having these brutal,
amazing fucking year,
amazing season, but it's coming at, I would say, a great cost in terms of just like it must be very uncomfortable to be on camera having that conversation with your son about substance abuse. And then you cut to Meredith and she's like, you know that my hair cannot do that shampoo. You know I can't have put sulfites in my hair. It's like we're kind of dealing with, and by the way, as a Jewess myself, I'm obsessed that they put a bat mitzvah on a housewife show. I'm like truly, you know, but there's still like a lack of, I don't know. I think she just enjoyed throwing Angie out because she enjoyed throwing Angie out, and she
I mean, there's no reason you have security at the event unless you're already planning to use security on camera.
Yeah. Which she said, pull the lever, Kronk. She said,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, she did. The other thing that you have really great kind of cultural criticism on is you write about the huge deal that happened with Eden's Crush. And I want to congratulate you on Eden's Crush is Nicole Scherzinger's first girl group. And you also, basically you write about how their album has finally been put on streaming. And after years of it not being on the interwebs, and even a friend of yours texted you saying it's like recovering the Library of Alexandria, which I think is a really visceral image. But what I find so funny about your writing about this is that you said that when Cat's Eye, who I was obsessed with the documentary about forming the K-pop group Cat's Eye, when they visited Nicole Scherzinger at Sunset Boulevard, Nicole said to Cat's Eye, the girl group, that she only mentioned her being a part of Eden's Crush as her girl group history and did not even mention the Pussycat Dolls. I think it's so iconic that Nicole is erasing her relationship.
Do you understand what I'm saying? We finished the album and the Pussycat Dolls came into the studio and we played the album for them. They'd never heard it before.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
The best behind the music ever.
I mean, that to me is like, I don't know. I feel like we go in and out of golden ages of media. I feel like the era of competition series to create pop groups was a moment in time. The fact that Eden's Crush came from the show Pop Stars, the fact that, of course, you had O-Town, you had Danity Kane, which I remain that Damage is one of the best songs in
perfect song
American catalog. Question though is, do you think that we're going to ever get back into the reality competition for either forming new pop groups, more Broadway casting, like The Search for Elle Woods?
So I was talking to a friend about this recently because we were at a party and Heart played Alone. And then all of us were like, Carrie Underwood, Heart, American Idol.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about American Idol a lot because I have an American Idol essay in the book too. But I just feel like I missed that era of everybody talking that week about who was great, you know, really caring, like tuning in for these singers. And I mean, someone just won The Voice this week. I saw it in like a push alert and I was The Voice is still on. Who? Jelly Roll won.
And Mazel Tov to Jelly. It's tough. Well, again, when we talk about the golden age, there also comes a dark age. And I feel like we're in a bit of a dark age of music competition because American Idol really was that girl. I mean, I feel like for any people who are just pop culture stans, like to go into school the next day and then talk about how I'm just having so many images of like how far Kelly Clarkson has come. And I just want to like take space just to
hold some space for her.
Let's hold space for Kelly Clarkson because to win the first season of a show like that, and then to how many years later, and I don't actually actively watch the Kelly Clarkson show, but am I watching every single clip of the covers that she's singing?
Of course. Yeah.
But I just think for her to go from that to now is huge. So taking space, but just thinking about like the time when Jennifer Hudson was on American Idol and you were just like couldn't believe when she was sent home. That's the essay.
Of course, I wrote about JHud being sent home, a nasty episode of TV.
I mean, it really was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Car accident in slow motion.
You know, to quote Whitney, you know, it's because like I listen to singers and I feel like we don't have that's not what's in vogue in pop music currently. You know, like sometimes you have people are going to see an Adele, and you have people who can sing, you know, like Coco Jones, you know, you have Renee Raps, but think about like Mariah Carey with just in the mid 2000s with Can't Forget About Us. You know, like, and why am I blanking? What's the big one? The
We Belong Together.
Yes, We Belong Together. Yes. My brain on a Sunday. Anyway, We Belong Together. Can't Forget About Us. Like those were big hits, but they're also like ballads that we don't get anymore. That's not what's on the radio right now.
You know what's so funny about you saying that is you just pinpointed my like brand of gay is I'm a ballad gay. I love if it's slow and sad, turn it up. Like if I am in a car ride and you have an option between like singing along with a ballad versus of course there's a moment for a pop bop, but I tend to love a singer that is giving us elongated notes and a vibrato and a gorgeous range. Do you think though, like, is Sabrina Carpenter, is she giving vocals, do you think?
She has vocals. Is she giving them? Case in point.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Case in point, her Christina Aguilera duet.
Yes.
You know? What a Girl Wants.
Yes.
Now, there were jokes about it online about how, you know, she came in like this and then Christina Aguilera came in and she was like, oh, like her thing. But also it's just like, it's maybe she was deferring to Christina, but it's also just that's from an era that's not, you know, au courant right now.
Sure.
Like that we're not having girls who are going to belt back and forth with Christina like she was doing on that song, you know? Even the vocals in like a What a Girl Wants.
Yeah.
We don't really have those on pop songs now.
But you are correct in name dropping Renee Rapp as a vocalista.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I love her.
My Spotify rap this year was like an embarrassing like Renee Rapp.
Even if she dresses like Madam Web for her concerts. She was at Coachella with the duster, the jeans.
She loves a wide pants. She loves to ride in comfort class. Someone posted that, and I'm curious your take on this. Someone posted that Renee Rapp pulling out of sex lives of college girls to focus on her music was thwarted by the lesbianism of Chappell Roan taking the throne of sort of like maybe filling in the slot that the Renee could have been in. I, of course, think there is room for pop lesbians. I think there's room for many. But Renee, do you think that she is going to ascend?
I love Renee.
Is she? I'm obsessed with her.
Amazing performer.
Will she ascend to the heights that she deserves?
I hope so, but you know, amazing performer, amazing, beautiful voice. But what Chappell had was the hits. You know, she has good songs, and I don't really listen to Renee Rapp like that. She's got a couple like hits, but do you?
I do. But also, again, it's sad lesbian music. Like I'm like a Muna girl through and through.
The lesbians don't want to be sad right now. They want
that's true.
Phenomenons. Okay,
that's true. A phenomenon.
Like they
Renee
want
Rapp is
that.
like, and my dad was a kid, and I was a bisexual girl. Yeah, no, you're right. But I guess I'm in the minority of. I want to keep on listening to sad lesbians talk about their dads passing away. I really like. There's Is
that what Tummy Hurts was about?
Probably. I'm forgetting now if that's Tummy. There's Lizzie McAlpine. Lizzie McAlpine's another sad lesbian whose father passed away. I just think there's like, if I could have a playlist of sad lesbians who miss their dads, I would listen to that all day. And then after every 10 songs, I'll listen to Femininomenon.
Okay. So I'm getting that every day is sort of like a cozy Sunday for you.
I think it's because my head is such a warfare of crazy thoughts of like anxiety and you know, am I doing this? Am I doing this okay? I like to slow it down and let another girl be sad for a second.
I'm really not a sad playlist person. I mean, I can get into it, obviously. And I love a sad musical theater song.
Oh. Well, on your list of best
that
songs,
I'll turn on.
Thank you. And your best list of songs this year, you also put a song from Stereophonic, which I thought was such a Broadway gay move.
That was all up in my Spotify rap.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Because I would play Drive at parties, and people would just think it's a 70s rock song.
Okay. I'm actually embarrassed to say that I never listened to the Stereophonic cast recording. Cast recording? Is that what you call a play's music?
Well, the cast recorded it.
And there was a recording.
They played their instruments. They sung.
Okay, well, to any girlies listening who love Stereophonic, I'm so sorry that I'm not yet on board, but it's my New Year's resolution is to listen to
Have
the
you
play.
not listened to it?
No, I haven't listened to it.
What, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
So.
But I live in LA.
That needs to be done.
live in LA, and
okay. Well, I'm sure it'll tour there soon.
I hope so.
It won a Tony.
Yeah, it should.
So it'll be there.
If they're touring some of the shows they're touring, they should tour Stereophonic. I think and is an absolute must.
Name them.
I'm. No, I won't.
I know I'm not having you do that.
I will say a huge shout out to I got to go to the Once Upon a Mattress opening night in LA because the Broadway cast came over, and it was such a like gay treat to be able to be in LA to see those people. But at the theater, there was a huge poster for the Parade tour that's coming with a one Max Chernin, who the poster is truly stunning. They look amazing, and I'm very excited to see it. But shout out to Max Chernin, who is starring in Parade, who understudied Ben Platt on Broadway. At all of my college auditions for musical theater programs, Max Chernin was at every single city that I was in at the same time auditioning for the same schools. He got in everywhere, and I got into some of them. And every place I would go, you would hear
a villain origin?
A little bit, but now I'm like, so like, because I'm not a musical theater girly like performer anymore, all I have is like, because also his voice is insane. It's so gorgeous. He is so handsome. And just, I truly, if he ever hears that I'm talking about him on this podcast, he'll be like, I don't know who this man is. He'll be like, Eric who? But I just like have those memories of being 17 years old at the University of Michigan, hearing Max Chernin be in the room for 25 minutes. And then they came out, you practically hear a standing ovation applause. And then I go in there for 2.5 minutes and like, thank you. And I was like, who the fuck is this Max Chernin? And now he's killing it. And I am genuinely like, so it's so cool. I'm very happy for him.
At least now it was worth it though, right?
100%.
Because imagine if this person was, like snatching it up everywhere, pissing you off, and then they went nowhere. Yeah, they were like in Rent Live, and that's it.
Hey now. Ooh, that was a moment. Tough times.
That was a prison sentence.
That was them airing the rehearsal and not putting that poor guy in his leg cast and giving us actual drama. God, show us the cast.
Yeah.
But to be on Twitter on that moment was, I think, really important. And
it made a lot of us love the movie a bit more.
Oy vey schmear. Pour one out. And you know what? Since we're going to take space for positivity, we're going to say what Rent movie could not do for Rent, the Wicked movie did do for Wicked, and we are grateful that we learned. Let us be glad. Let us be thankful. We learned. God bless.
Thank you.
Because we have had some gorgeous pop girlies come up, some delicious conversations about the culture, I do need to ask you the next Gay Ass Podcast question, Ira, which is, if the world was ending, you could only save one character actress, who would you save?
Okay, so I thought long and hard about this. And I think, first of all, this person has been in so many movies that you can't imagine her not in cinema. And I feel like when I first of all, she's been in every Black movie that's ever existed. I just feel like she has been. So, and then she pops up in other random things too. She's popped up in I Am Sam, Crash, Dreamgirls. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I think I know, but I'm not.
Waiting to Exhale.
Is in
Loretta
Dreamgirls?
Devine.
Is she giving cameo in Dreamgirls, like a small appearance?
Yeah, it's Loretta Devine.
I knew it. I was gonna say Loretta
You were
Devine.
gonna say her. Yes.
Because Loretta, so the reason why I was saying cameo is because she was obviously in the original Dreamgirls, and then she only pops up in like one club scene in Dreamgirls, I think, or she's like in one very short moment.
Yeah.
I think that is such a gorgeous
An Easter
answer.
egg.
An Easter egg, if you will. Which
yeah.
I
For
think
Dreamgirls fanatics, she was the Kristen and Adina.
Yeah. And I've gone on record saying on this very podcast, we did a wicked moment with Kevin McHale, and I said that that number of One Short Day was bring your creative team to work day / Adina / Kristen. It felt very outside of the rest of the movie. I know why they did it. I'm so obsessed with us giving them their flowers, but during the movie was a little like looking around the room like, is this happening?
Yeah. I will say that when people kept urging others not to sing during the movie, and I was, one of those people joining the pile on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people did hear me, who were with me, did hear me doing it to One Short Day. I cannot help it with that rap breakdown. Who's the mage? It got me, and it was coming out of my mouth during the movie, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm the one singing."
You're like, whose chords are vibrating? They're mine. I mean, when finally Kristen starts singing "Who's the Mage," it's like you're like, thank God the new song is over.
Yeah, you're back to the musical.
Yeah. It really, that's like drinking Gatorade after a really intense game of flag football. You can feel it, the coolness go through your body, and it feels like you're returning to a healthy form is when you hear Who's the Mage. Can I also tell you, when I put Loretta Devine's name into Google, the reason why she's also queen is not only her filmography, but also a campy headline. And this is the campy Loretta Devine headline from December 3rd of this year.
Okay.
From People magazine. Loretta Devine says, a boyfriend in her Dreamgirls days got my mother high by accident when they met. Why was that?
How did I miss this story?
I did too. Why was this pitched to people? Is question one.
Is this a memoir?
No, she's doing. I just saw. I scrolled, and she's doing press for her Hallmark film Holidazed.
Sure. Merry Christmas. My ex-boyfriend got my mom high
during Dreamgirls. Okay, I'm gonna obviously have to scroll a little bit more to see where the body. Okay, here we go. Devine remembers introducing another boyfriend to her mother when she starred in Dreamgirls in the 80s. Quote, she had never been on a plane, so she flew into New York around the opening so she could get to see what my life was like, Devine recalls. He was a little wacky. He was smoking weed on the balcony or something, and I think he got my mother high by accident. Things went a lot better when Devine's mom, who has since died, met Marshall for the first time. I guess that's like her current husband. Again, what gay person took that one line from their conversation as the headline of Loretta Devine's mom got high by accident during Dreamgirls in the 80s? We're living in an era where the clickbait headlines, poor Loretta Devine was just trying to talk about her Hallmark film, and next thing you know, the headlines are Loretta's mom got high in the 80s once.
My favorite Loretta Devine moment ever is in Urban Legends Final Cut, when she's playing the security guard. As you know, she was security guard at the prior school in Urban Legend. And she's transferred, and these killings are happening again, which...
Oh, yeah.
You up to something? I mean, it's very weird that the same police officer is involved with like both killings. Now that you think about it, like she would be a main suspect. But she's in her car, and she's talking about like a scary story, and she says she's recounting what happened in the first movie to the heroine. And the heroine's like, oh, I heard that was just like some urban legend. And then she gets out of the car, and then there's a zoom in on Loretta Devine alone in her car, and she just goes, urban legend my ass.
Yes. The only reason why I'm so fresh on that clip is because I did a live show last year for it's called Gay Ass Live Show, and people compete for who knows their character actress of choice the best.
Okay.
And somebody represented Loretta Devine, and I believe we had someone finish that quote from Urban Legend. Urban Legend, my ass.
Obviously, I picked Loretta Devine because I clipped her out from Urban Legends 2 to put on my YouTube channel, literally just of that quote, Urban Legend, my ass, because I found it so funny at the time.
So Loretta Devine has really always spoken to you, and in a way, you were sort of meant to be on That's a Gay Ass podcast to talk about Loretta Devine, and it is truly, it's the universe doing her thing, and I'm so glad that we were able to give her flowers and take space for her. Now, because we sadly only have a few minutes left in this interview, I do want to get to a couple of quick fire questions. Okay. One of which is, when we talk about these reality competition shows from our past and then looking into our future, I don't think we'll ever be able to replicate the search for Elle Woods, but I want to ask you, do you think like the search for the next Mary Todd Lincoln would ever fly?
That would be really fun. You know, I wish we had done something like that, but I'm also excited for Betty Gilpin.
Very excited for Betty Gilpin. I think that it's my dream for the show is that Betty Gilpin will obviously be incredible. And then once her run is up, they just kind of keep the show running, and and you just have to go see a new Mary Todd Lincoln every time you go.
Honestly, now that you brought up the search for the next Mary Todd, that would be such a fun reality show with Cole as the host.
Cole as the host. And here's the deal. The show is so high profile that all the people competing are actually like Academy Award winning actresses.
No, I want to see Amy Adams.
I want to see Amy Adams, Anne Hathaway. Who's Renee Rapp? We need some like really like out of the box competitors on the search for the next Mary Todd.
Yeah, like Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, of course, in the Bratty Curls. Like it's just, yeah, there's but I also want to ask you, how do you feel about Take Two? But I also want to ask you, how do you feel about deleting X? You are such a pop culture girly. You're so in the mix of conversation, but on your Substack, you say something that really resonated with me that I'm grappling with. You say, I love the internet as a place for people to find community, but as a writer, I have found more joy this year finding community at friends' poetry readings, at a bar talking shit about a play I just saw with a couple of friends, or arguing about new music at a party. You said, I've realized I've not grown tired of conversations, but sometimes there are too many going on. Have you been happy with being off of X? Have you replaced it with Bluesky? I mean, how are you doing?
I'm in the sky, and I feel I'm always addicted to one of these apps because of fucking Bravo. You know? I mean, I feel like where else are you gonna go to get people tweeting about an episode, skeeting about one, I guess, for Bluesky? During the episode, where are you going to see like random people's reactions? And I don't want to join Reddit or some other thread. I miss, that's the only real part about the internet. Yeah.
That's the only reason
that I still sort of enjoy.
Yeah, that's why I'm
Survivor, like people talking about reality shows, because it feels like the old days of like internet forums. Like you'd log on to like a Buffy forum or an X-Files forum, like people are there for the same purpose as you.
100%. It's like a uniting force, which is talking about Angie getting thrown out at Meredith's bar mitzvah. Of course. That's the only reason why I've stayed on X, because I know it's, become a hellscape, but it's like it's the discourse and the really funny takes by queer people and otherwise, and the pornography. I mean, if we're being honest, like it's
true.
But I was at
they've done their hard work to bring it over to Bluesky. Let me tell you.
That's what I've heard. So I'm not on Bluesky, and a friend of mine last night was like dragging me through the mud because I'm not on Bluesky. And he was like, people already have 200,000 followers. I'm like,
okay, well it seems a bit aggressive to be dragging people for not being on Bluesky.
Well, I'm glad that you are healing my inner child from last night for being dragged about Bluesky. But I'm like, I just don't know. I'm like dealing with. There's already enough to deal with, and to add another thing, I'll get there in time. I'll be skeeting in time, Ira. I just need your patience if you'll allow me.
It's okay. Take your time. It's Bluesky's not going anywhere. Or it might be. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Unfortunately, we do have to go somewhere and end this gorgeous episode of That's a Gay Ass Podcast. Ira, I cannot tell you how much of a thrill it is to have someone that I've looked up to for so many years. I'm so excited about your book. Everybody should be pre-ordering it. It's pure, innocent fun. It's coming out early February. And of course, while I'm already giving some plugs, can you, Ira, tell the girlies where to follow you and where to find all that info?
Yeah, I mean, just go to iramadison.substack.com. My newsletter is there and stuff about the book too. So
gorgeous. It is linked in the description. Ira, stay gay. I'm so honored you came on, and I hope to get to see you. And maybe we'll talk about the national tours that should not be touring.
Yeah, we'll do that once the mic's off.
Yeah, exactly. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to That's a Gay Ass Podcast with the incomparable Ira Madison. Talk about gay podcast royalty. I mean, just no one does it like him. No one does it like him. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much if you leave a 5-star review to let the other girlies know that Gay Ass Podcast is here, it's queer, and you got to get used to it, babe. If you also want more bonus content, highly suggest going to patreon.com/gayasspodcast because the interviews there are just delicious. And this next one, oof, buckle the brunch up. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your gay day. And by all means, stay gay. Bye. So long. Farewell. You've been listening to That's a Gay Ass Podcast, hosted by me, Eric Williams. If you want to see and hear more, make sure you're subscribed to us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, or Patreon at Gay Ass Podcast. That's a Gay Ass Podcast is executive produced by Eric Williams and produced by Nathanael McClure. We'll see you next week.